Hello again, everyone. You're joining us for another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. My name is Jeff Nix. I'm head of content and research. My guest today is Kawa Chiu of Abdera Therapeutics. We're going to be having a conversation about some of the advances in targeted radiotherapeutics, some of the supply chain implications of it. I think it's going to be a fantastic conversation. Kawa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I expect most of our audience does know what targeted radiotherapeutics are, but why don't we start off with, broadly speaking, what makes it different from some of the other treatments and what is new in the space?
Okay. Actually, I am not sure if everybody knows what targeted therapeutics is. So a lot of people know the traditional external beam radiation, and I would say 50% of the cancer patients receive that, the radiation and the chemo treatment. The differences of the targeted radiotherapeutics is actually it is internalized. It uses either antibody or small molecule to bring the radiation directly to the cancer cells. And the benefit of that is it actually spares the healthy tissue, unlike the traditional, external radiation. So I'm very, very excited, about this new modalities.
And maybe we could talk a little bit about what is new in the space, what has happened in the last few years, and where Abdera fits into that story.
For sure. Actually, in 2022, the Perfecto is one of the very first targeted radiotherapeutics was approved for commercial use, and in its first year, it reached $1 billion in sales. And it's projected to be peak sales for $3 billion, right? And also, in addition, since that the market validation, there's over $10 billion of investment in the last 2 years in terms of acquisitions and M&A. So there are a lot of excitement in this space. And Perfecto is actually one of the more, I would say, the first generation of targeted radiotherapeutics using the small molecules and the peptide approach. While it's effective when you find the right match, but it's not very easy to expand that into other indication or solid tumor type, cancer type.
Now, I wonder if that's where Abdera comes into the story. If it's started sort of on the small molecule side, you're a biologics company. Let's talk about the next generation of it.
Absolutely. What you find for the biologics approach is that it actually allows for more consistent approach that it can receive and bring it to much more higher tumor uptake because of the longer circulation in the blood compartment. So it allows for longer circulation for the radionuclide to get into the tumor for the tumor killing, but it's not too long that it would damage the healthy tissues. That's number one. And number two is that you actually can, with the protein engineering, you actually can swap or have different targets still achieve the consistent biodistribution and the pharmacokinetic and to deliver the therapeutic effect to the cancer.
Could you tell us a little bit about some of the manufacturing and supply chain issues involved in this approach?
It is actually a just-in-time supply chain in that because the radioisotope decay by the hour, and so we really have to start when the patient is scheduled to be treated, for example, next Tuesday. And we have to get the radionuclide, usually have 1 to 2 weeks of shelf life, bring it to manufacture the drug product. We have to test and release within 24 hours, ship out the next day, and have that delivered to the patient. And the total shelf life is really depending on, the specific product. It's 2 to 7 days. So it's very, very short duration that we have to deliver, to the patients.
I think I've got a good sense of where the challenges are today, and I can appreciate there are other companies also working to sort of advance this next generation of targeted radiotherapeutics. So what are some of the lessons you've learned so far? What advice might you have for your peers? Where do you think we're going to be with all this in a few years?
Very good question. I would share 3 areas to consider as others are manufacturing or scaling up, the targeted radiotherapeutics. Number 1 is the redundant supply of the radioisotope. Usually, you don't do your second source, first source very early until you commercialize. But in this case, because the uniqueness of the radioisotope and the types of it, I would, get your redundancy in your supply chain, regional, different type of manufacturing route as early as you can. The second part is, when you think about the scale up of the manufacturing with the short shelf life and also potential, some of the radio safety concern, we really have to think about its scale out. So you can only scale up your batch size for so much because of the 7-day constraint. So that is really important to start thinking and planning how you will scale out, whether there's a regional, local approach. And then finally, the last piece is really about people and capability, because this is such a specialized space. I would really put the right expertise together early because it's span across antibody, the chemistry, the radio, nuclear engineering. So I would definitely bring and put the right resources and technical expertise early and automate as soon as it is feasible to really capture some of this really unique aspect of the process.
It sounds like there's a lot of exciting things happening in the space. I really appreciate your time, sort of bringing us up to date on where you are now. And I'm excited for a couple years down the road. I think it's going to be some really incredible updates. In the meantime, Kawa, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here.
You've been listening to another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. I've been Jeff Nix. Let's do it again soon.